Hey guys, this is Captain Lincoln with Fireteam Whiskey. Thank you so much for joining us for the Keto Secret How to Lose Weight Without Starvation, Calorie Counting, or Exercise webinar. I'm Captain Stephanie Lincoln, and I'm the founder of Fireteam Whiskey, and I'm a keto expert and a certified personal trainer. And I've published 4 eating plans that walk our participants with our program slowly into what's called ketosis. So we're going to talk about that in a second and what the heck is ketosis and what that's all about. I want to share with you the 3 keto hacks that I call the Keto Secrets to make sure that you're getting all of the benefits from being in ketosis and that you can do it easily and be able to sustain this for the rest of your life. But first, a little bit about my story. So in 2014, 2015, I was at the heaviest weight as an adult. And I had always struggled with weight gain since my teen. I did the Slim Fast, I did the ephedra, I over-exercised, I cut my calories. So I was able to, after gaining some weight, and realizing that I had kind of, let myself go, do some extreme things to, shed some of that weight. But of course, as I got older, some of those old tricks were not working anymore. And as I approached my 40s, it was definitely becoming apparent that these strategies were not working for me anymore, and I needed to do something different. I was frustrated beyond belief because I was doing all the quote unquote right things. I was eating whole grains. I was exercising, almost an hour, if not more, 6 days a week. I was eating fruit and vegetables and low fat meats and lean meats and eating my oatmeal every day. So I was doing all the right things according to what we've been taught, but I was continuing to gain weight as I got older. So I figured out that this was just not working for me anymore. So I had to find a different way. So I started to do some research and my mind was blown. And basically from there, I went and got specialized training in this area. I became an eating psychology specialist and I developed the eating plans that I use to get me into ketosis and stay in ketosis and burn fat even to this day. So over 2 years later, my body fat has been cut in half. I've lost 15 pounds, and all of those health issues that I had and that I was struggling with that I thought were just a part of my life are completely gone. I used to have knee pain and back pain and headaches pretty much on a weekly basis, even migraines, adult acne, extreme fatigue almost on a daily basis, usually towards the end of the day, issues with constipation and stomach pains, and just an overall issue with blood sugar management. I would even get to the point of having passing out spells or almost passing out from my blood sugar getting so low, and it seemed like there was nothing I could do to control it, accepted all these things, that it was just part of my life and I didn't know any different. And so this way of eating, these nutritional protocols and these 3 hacks that I'm going to share with you completely changed my life. Not only did I lose the weight and keep it off all these years later, and continue to lose body fat even to this day, but all of those health issues that I was struggling with that I had accepted as a part of my life is absolutely gone. What I'm going to share with you today will help you stop calorie counting, stop step counting, stop monitoring your heart rate, stop over-exercising, stop starving yourself, and stop overcomplicating these things. And we have all of this technology. We have these smart scales and smart watches and smart apps, and we track and we constantly monitor, and we're always looking at this data and trying to adjust and trying to figure out how to hack these systems. We have completely overcomplicated what has actually been in the works and established for thousands and thousands of years in our body. But the first thing that I want you to get is an understanding that we are all still cavemen and women. We still have those primitive brain systems that are functioning today just like they did thousands of years ago. These are the areas of the brain that primarily control the basic biological functions, which includes the way we expend and store energy, i.e. fat. So these areas are triggered often by those daily activities that we engage in, but there are circumstances that no longer apply to us on a daily basis. So if you think about it, our caveman ancestors, they would wake up, right? They would prepare for the day. There was no such thing as breakfast or going by the coffee shop or Starbucks or tracking their steps for the day. They just woke up. They prepared for the day, they hunt and gathered throughout the day, and then came together at the end of the day and ate and shared what they were able to get that day. Some days it was a lot, some days it was very little, some days maybe it was nothing. So the body had to develop this biological system to store fat in case of, those days that occurred where maybe they didn't find anything to eat. And maybe it was days and days at a time where they had almost nothing or very little to eat. So those biological systems are in place to store fat and to trigger us to overeat. So when we did find food, that we had to really overeat and take advantage of it, and the body would store it as fat because they knew that pretty soon there was going to be some times where we wouldn't have any food. So we had to then tap into the storage of fat. But nowadays, we're surrounded by food. We have food pretty much available to us at any second on a daily basis. But those biological systems don't know that, and they're continuing to operate on the way our ancestors lived thousands of years ago. There's two types of energy that our body works on. So they're called glycogen and ketones. Just two sources, that's it. So that's how our body functions. There's only two sources of energy. And I like to think of the glucose and the ketones as a match and a candle. So if you think about when you strike a match, it's pretty quick, right? It's a quick strike. It's really easy to do, but it burns really quickly. So it does provide us some light, but for a very short amount of time. Think of glycogen or glucose as that source of energy. The body prefers it because it's easy. It doesn't take a lot of energy to create it, but it does burn quick. So we have to constantly replenish it in order to continue using it. But the candle, which are the ketones, are not as easy to burn. So think about when you burn a candle. You light a match or you get a lighter and you place it on the wick, but you have to hold it there for a couple seconds, right? And you have to make sure that it catches. And then you have to watch it for a few more seconds to make sure that the wax around the wick, starts to burn and that it's not just burning the wick. And then after maybe a couple of hours, it really gets going and all that wax is starting to burn, and it's burning very efficiently, and it's going to burn for a very long time. But it takes a little bit more energy and time to do that, right? So think of those as your ketones. So the body doesn't prefer that because it takes a little bit more energy to go ahead and burn the ketones rather than if you have glucose available, it's just going to go ahead and take the glucose. But there's also an argument, and people love to bring this up when it comes to low-carb diets is, but don't you need carbs? Yeah, there are some higher functions in the brain especially that do require some carbs. But what most people don't know, and I'm sharing this with you, is that your liver actually produces glycogen, and it can produce it from even just your own body. So you actually don't need to consume carbs in order to burn carbs for those higher functions that you need them for. So whatever your body needs, your liver will actually create. So it's almost like I talk about how would you walk up to a sugar factory with a bag of sugar and say, hey, look, I brought you some sugar? And the sugar factory is going to go, okay, sure, we'll take it. Here, I'll just store it because we make sugar here. So think of your body like that. When you bring sugar into your body, when you consume it, your body's just like, hey, thanks, but yeah, did you know we make this? So we're just gonna go ahead and store this as fat. So you've heard of the word ketosis. So since we're talking about ketones, this is where that comes into play. So when we have high levels of these things called ketones, which is that second source of energy in our blood system, our body is basically in a burn fat mode, because when your body fat is pulled out of your body to use as energy, it is broken down into what we call ketones. You can also consume ketones with dietary fat. So that is also broke down into ketones. And what is so amazing is that ketones cannot be stored as fat. They have to be excreted, either used or excreted through the urine. So unlike carbs, they can't just be cycled back if they're not used and placed into your fat cells and stored as fat. So that is the definition of ketosis, is when you have a high level of these ketones floating around in your blood system and that your body is using them to function and use it as energy for that daily functioning instead of burning glucose. So you may also have heard the term fat adapted, which is also kind of the same thing as ketosis. So when your body is fat adapted, it actually has remembered the fact that it has these other sources of energy called ketones and also stored body fat, and it remembers to switch back and forth between the two whenever it needs it. But because we, on the standard American diet, have overeaten carbs most of our lives, our body pretty much has forgotten how to burn and create those ketones because you've always been supplying the sugar factory with sugar. It's all about insulin. So insulin is a hormone in your body that tells your body to store fat. So think of it as like the messenger in your body that says, okay, it's time to store fat, or no, it's not okay to store fat. So if you're controlling your insulin, so keeping it low in your body, then your body feels like it's okay to go ahead and store fat. But if you're not controlling your insulin and your insulin is constantly spiking, then your body is being told constantly that it's not okay to store fat. And also what insulin does is, think of it as like a taxi cab. And what it does is it's triggered by usually the consumption of carbohydrates or sugar and some proteins moderately. And it basically is released and it goes around like little taxi cabs in your bloodstream and picks up all those little glycogen molecules. And its job is to transport them, so they're like a little Uber, to the cells for energy. But when the Uber gets to the cell, it figures out that there's a lock that needs to be unlocked in order to put the glycogen in the cell to be used as energy. But the problem is, when they get there, they find that most of those locks are broken. This is called insulin resistance. So unfortunately, they're able to unlock some of them, but some of the locks are broken. So what are they going to do with all this extra glycogen? So the taxi cab just turns around and goes, okay, well, you know, it's full, all the locks are broken here, so we're going to have to go ahead and take you back and store you as fat until the body can figure out what to do with you. So that's what insulin does. But in the absence of insulin, that means you are not spiking your blood sugar and triggering the insulin, then the body is looking for energy. The body's constantly burning energy and needs more. So if the body's looking for energy and there's no glycogen available, then it's okay then for it to go ahead and take the stores of fat, break those down into ketones, and use those as energy. And the great thing about it is those can't be restored as fat. So it's excreted in the urine with whatever it doesn't use. What's the coolest thing about this is there's certain foods that absolutely do not spike your blood sugar or insulin like at all. I'm talking about like zero response. And one of those foods is called MCT. And MCT is medium chain triglycerides, and they are derived from coconuts. So you may have heard of MCT or coconut oil or coconut powder. And basically MCT is converted directly into ketones into your body. And it creates those ketones floating around in your bloodstream that is communicating to your body that it's okay to burn fat. And none of the insulin is responding because it just sees ketones. It doesn't see glycogen, so it has nowhere to pick it up. So think about insulin as the Uber. So if you're not taking in those carbohydrates and those insulin spiking foods, then the Uber isn't called and no storage of fat is occurring. So your body is safe to go ahead and convert that consumed fat and that body fat as much energy as it needs because it's super, super efficient. So when ketones are present and glucose is not, you burn fat. So what else do ketones do? So, okay, I get it. Ketones help me burn fat, but there's also some other benefits. And if you go to fireteamwhiskey.com/MCT, you'll find a whole long list, if you're a nerd like me and you want to read up on the research, of the benefits of consuming MCT. So MCT, it introduces energy expenditure. It introduces a fat burning in your body, so kind of charging up your metabolism, and you will experience body weight loss because your body is in that safe mode to release that fat. It also reduces the conversion of excess carbohydrates to fat. It also reduces your appetite, so eating high fat and MCT really takes your appetite away. I actually just had my Spec Op shake, which is an MCT shake, and I couldn't feel more full. And I am satisfied for hours and hours and hours after drinking that shake. So that's what this research shows, is when you consume MCT, you really feel full for a very long time. And it also, for you athletes out there, increases the duration of your high intensity exercise. And I'm a high intensity exercise guru, so I love this because, again, this makes sense. You have much more complex energy going around in your body. So you're not going to just burn out of your blood sugar really quickly by doing an intense workout, that your body is tapping into that candle instead of the match. MCT also improves risk factors for diabetes and reduces those risk factors associated with diabetes, like body weight, waist circumference, and insulin resistance. And also, you've heard of brain octane or bulletproof coffee. So basically adding MCT to especially caffeine drinks, so like coffee or tea, really helps your focus and energy and boosts your productivity and reduces that fatigue level, so you're not having those energy crashes from blood sugar crashes all day long because you're eating things and then you're spiking your blood sugar and then your blood sugar is crashing and then you feel tired, so then you eat something with sugar, so it goes up again, and you get into this crazy cycle where you're just going up and down, and your brain function is affected by those lows and highs. So when you are burning ketones and supplementing with MCT, you have this laser focus, you have endless energy, and you feel a lot more productive. So let's just get back to basics, guys. That's the summary of what I just presented to you. We need to eat like a caveman. Think about how your ancestors ate and just mimic that with your daily life. So a majority of what you eat needs to be high fat. You need to rarely have carbohydrates, so think seasonally. And then supplement with MCT for sure, because that is an awesome hack to get those ketones going in your bloodstream so it can communicate to your body that it's okay to burn fat. And then intermittent fast with insulin spiking food. So what I mean by this is, sure, you can do intermittent fasting, which is a whole nother topic in itself. But what I mean is you should just keep as many hours at a time in your day to just consuming high-fat foods and not have hardly any hours of the day where you're consuming foods that would spike your insulin. So instead of having like protein snacks every couple of hours or 4 hours, that's going to spike your insulin, how about just eating high fat until dinner and have a dinner with some carbohydrates? So that's what I mean by intermittent fasting with insulin spiking food. It's just making sure a majority of the day you're eating high fat and not combined with anything else because it's going to spike your insulin. And then free fat, not fat free. Don't ever consume a product ever again that is called fat free, because when they remove the fat from products, that means all that's left is carbohydrates, and you need to be consuming high fat. So you've been waiting for these 3 keto hacks, so here they are. Here's my 3 keto hacks that help me stay successful and my clients stay successful for years and years. So this isn't just a quick weight loss scheme, and if that's what you're looking for, then you can go ahead and stop the webinar now. This is a long-term commitment, and you're gonna see the benefits for years and years to come, like I have 2.5 years later. I still continue to burn body fat to this day. My body fat has been cut in half over the last 2.5 years, and it continues to tick down. So decades of damage done to your body cannot be cured in just 30 days of doing a keto eating plan. You need to be patient with your body and allow it some time to cure some of that long-term damage that you did over the last decades. So this is not a quick fix, guys. But if you do these 3 keto hacks on a daily basis, long-term, you are gonna see some crazy, amazing results. So you need to fast, like I said, from carbohydrates and any mid-range insulin spiking foods for most of the day. So maybe just pick 1 meal a day where you are allowed to have some of those foods. Otherwise, for the rest of the day, you should only be eating fat. Supplement with ketones. So you have your MCT and also another product called beta-hydroxybutyrate that are converted directly into ketones in your body. So you can kind of trick your body into thinking it's in a state of ketosis and it's okay to start burning body fat. And I would recommend only doing carbs in the evening. So if you're absolutely against completely dropping carbs from your life, that's okay. But keep it to 1 serving or 1 time in the day, 1 meal in the day, and try and keep it in the evening. So waking up and having a sugary drink or oatmeal is not the way to do things. Research shows that is actually the worst thing you can do, because you're spiking your blood sugar and you're throwing it off for the entire day after a nice fast of being asleep. So wait as long as you possibly can in the day before you have your first carbs if you are going to have them. So what's next? Do you need MCT? Is this something that you're interested in consuming, since it is one of my 3 keto hacks? Well, Fireteam Whiskey has Spec Ops shakes and Fuel Ration MCT bars. So if you like shakes, some people like shakes, some people would rather chew on something. We have both options, and they're made from the highest quality MCT, which is coconut oil. And again, they're converted directly into those ketones in your blood system and can be stored as fat. You don't have to give up your sweet tooth. So you can have non-insulin spiking sugar alternatives, and those are found in like stevia or truvia or monk fruit. So yes, you can still make sweets or have sweets, but with just the sweet taste and not spike that insulin. What I would recommend is to get some support. So if you haven't started your keto journey yet, or if you have and haven't had much success, I would encourage you to get a keto coach. So the Fireteam Whiskey Caliber nutritional protocols can take you through step by step through the process of getting you into ketosis. And because they're 30-day gradual programs, there's no cold turkey, there's no extreme changes. We walk you step by step in 30-day increments into living a keto lifestyle. So you're not going to experience that keto flu that everybody's afraid of. There's no crazy major lifestyle changes like overnight. We can help you ease into it and progress your journey every 30 days. And this is life-changing, guys. This is something that I've been doing for the last 2+ years, and I continue to see the benefits every single day. I will never look back. Not only have I seen a major change on the scale and my body fat, but all of those aches and pains and medical issues that I was struggling with that I thought were just a part of life are completely gone. I haven't been sick in 2 years. I haven't seen a doctor. I haven't taken any medications. It's been completely freeing, and I encourage you to think about starting this journey with us. So since you made it to the end of this webinar, first of all, I want to congratulate you for taking the steps to improve your health and fitness, and also give you a code for 15% off your first Keto Army Rations or Keto Army Caliber program purchase. So if you go to the Fireteam Whiskey website, www.fireteamwhiskey.com, and use the code Keto Army for your first purchase, you will get 15% off. And this is a limited time offer. So if I see that you've used the coupon code Keto Army, we're going to send you a free FTW Keto Army unit patch. So you have joined our Keto Army team, and we're going to reward you so you can identify yourself to the other keto warriors out there. Fireteam Whiskey also donates 25% of profits to organizations that support our nation's heroes. So hopefully you will consider purchasing your MCT products with Fireteam Whiskey, because we're giving back to our nation's heroes. Follow us on social media and let us know what you thought about the Keto Secrets webinar.